Hey, Zombie Survival Guy here again, and this is another episode of Murder Machines. So today we're going to be talking about the differences between different weapons and what makes a weapon tactical versus what doesn't, what makes something an assault rifle versus what doesn't. And so, like you remember from our first episode, this is an AR-15. This is the only part that the government tracks. Everything else is secondary to this for purposes of what actually constitutes the weapon. So what your stock looks like, what your barrel looks like, what your sights look like, everything else about the weapon is sort of decorative for purposes of what its actual appearance is. And to kind of bring that point home today, we've got two guns. We've got this Ruger 10/22 with a scope, wooden stock, and a 10-round removable magazine. And we have this Ruger 10/22 takedown with a black composite folding stock, a holographic sight, and a detachable barrel. And these guns are effectively the same. The only thing really different about them is that they look different. And to bring that point home, we took both of these to the range and fired both of them, and we'll be showing some video of that here in a moment. And we're back. And so you just saw that was 40 rounds put through the 10-round clip in a Ruger 10/22. So standard, this is what comes with the gun when you purchase it. And so that kind of gives you an idea of the firing rate of that weapon and its capacity. To kind of put that in perspective, that is a shot rate of 47 bullets per minute. And the next video is going to be showing a 25 round clip, and what we're using is a Ruger BX25, which is a 25 round magazines built into the same mold, for a total of 50 rounds in one of these. But to utilize them, you have to change from one side to the other. Each side's 25 rounds. So this is to kind of give you an idea about how you can, with one difference, the magazine size, which is one of the things that's being discussed right now, and rightly so. It's a point of conversation. So we're going to look at the difference between 4 of these, which puts 40 bullets downrange, and we were able to do that in about 51 seconds. So 51 seconds to go through 4 of these and 40 bullets for a speed of 47 bullets per minute. And so we're going to take a look at the 25 round magazine and the speed that it does, and then we'll kind of talk about both of them for a second. And we're back. And so you just saw that was 40 rounds put through the 10 round clip in a Ruger 1022. So standard, this is what comes with the gun when you purchase it. And so that kind of gives you an idea of the firing rate of that weapon and its capacity. To kind of put that in perspective, that is a shot rate of 47 bullets per minute. And the next video is going to be showing a 25 round clip. And what we're using is a Ruger BX25, which is a 25 round magazines built into the same mold, for a total of 50 rounds in one of these. But to utilize them, you have to change from one side to the other. Each side's 25 rounds. So this is to kind of give you an idea about how you can, with one difference, the magazine size, which is one of the things that's being discussed right now, and rightly so. It's a point of conversation. So we're going to look at the difference between 4 of these, which puts 40 bullets downrange, and we were able to do that in about 51 seconds. So 51 seconds to go through 4 of these and 40 bullets, for a speed of 47 bullets per minute. And so we're going to take a look at the 25 round magazine and the speed that it does, and then we'll kind of talk about both of them. Back in a second. And we're back. So that was the double 25 round magazine, and that one I was able to clear 50 bullets in about 27 seconds, which gives me a speed of about 111 bullets per minute. So to compare that with the 10 round magazine, that one was able to get 40 bullets downrange in 51 seconds and 47 bullets per minute. So the double 25 round mag was able to get better than double the rate of fire of the 10 round magazine, and which makes a lot of sense. The trigger pull is the same, the weapon is the same. The only difference is I'm having to swap magazines a lot less, which does take time to do. And there's some other factors there. This is a lot harder to remove from the weapon than this is. So the change outs are faster with the 25 round magazine. But that gives you some clear insight into the difference between a standard capacity magazine versus a high capacity magazine. And that's just using the nomenclature of the day. So we'll pause it for a moment and we'll come back and talk about some of the other things about these weapons in just a moment. Alright, and so we're just going to go over this little Ruger 1022 takedown again real fast, just to kind of talk about it. Ruger 1022 is pretty much one of the standard 22 caliber rifles. They're commonly used for varmint hunting, plinking. Sometimes they're one of the first weapons that is used to teach a child how to shoot. And so this is more of a tactical appearing one. The more common ones are like the wooden one that we saw earlier. And this one's made for backpacking and camping, and anytime you might need to maximize your storage space, which is why it has the removable barrel. And for note, right now that looks pretty intimidating, but it will not shoot without the barrel. This is not a complete weapon system. It has to have the barrel to complete the weapon, or else it will not fire. And so this one has a holographic sight, which is used for quick acquisition of targets. And when it works very well. It's very convenient, and it makes the weapon a lot like a video game. For those of you who aren't so familiar with a 22 caliber bullet, that's it. It's itty bitty. It's a teeny tiny little bullet compared to most, but that doesn't mean it won't do a lot of damage if it was to hit something. It's still a bullet that can cause lethal injury and severe pain. So just because it's small doesn't mean that it's not dangerous. The magazine that I have on this obviously makes it look a little bit like an AK-47, which is kind of fun, and I guess they could have made that straight, but they chose to do sort of a banana style clip. And as far as the folding stock goes, you could hold it like this, sort of like a pistol, I guess. But really it's just for convenience of packing it away. It makes the profile very small for going into a backpack. But really, if you're going to have a rifle, you should definitely use your stock as a brace. It allows for much more accurate fire. But really, like I say, this gun has the same capabilities and capacities as that wooden one. It just looks a lot more intimidating because of its furniture. And that goes back to our discussion of the AR-15 and other assault rifles, and that many of the features that are being discussed as making the weapon more lethal are really just features that make the weapon more comfortable and convenient and safe to use. Having a pistol grip makes the holding of the weapon a lot easier and makes the grip more secure. So the weapon's safer to hold if it has a pistol grip versus the type of grip you might have on a classic rifle. Having a thumb hole, same sort of story. The thumb hole allows for a more secure grip. Having a folding stock, it's a feature that exists. I find it useful if I'm going to be packing the gun into a pack of some kind or anything like that. It makes it easy to fold up and put away. It takes up a lot less space in my gun safe. But there are some people who think that that makes the gun more tactical. I feel like it makes it less accurate, so I don't utilize the weapon with the stock folded. But you know, the other thing to keep in mind is that that weapon would not be considered an assault rifle typically because of the caliber of the bullet. A 22 is a very small round, but you can carry a lot of them. This tub carries 1,400 rounds. You buy them in a tub, and you know, you can buy more ammunition cheaply. So when you're talking about, you know, what's dangerous, a 22 caliber can do a lot of damage in the wrong hands, which was why, once again, if you're thinking about buying a weapon, any weapon, you need a way to secure it, make sure that it's safe, you need to get training, and you need to think about what you can do other than the weapon first. Like I've said before you start thinking about, you know, getting a weapon to defend yourself and to protect others, you really need to think about, well, what are you going to do after the fact? If something bad does happen, do you know first aid? Do you know CPR? Are you going to be able to take any sort of actions to be able to reduce the damage caused by an assault or somebody using a weapon in a criminal fashion? And I recommend people think about those things first before they think about purchasing a weapon. But, you know, 22 is a fun weapon. It's cheap to use, it's cheap to practice with, and practice makes a lot of difference with weapons. and the level of safety you can have with them. So that's something to consider. Um, I guess that kind of covers everything for um, this week that I wanted to talk about as far as weapons themselves. I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between um, two weapons that are effectively the same but look different, and then the difference between a standard and a high capacity magazine. Um, so that kind of gives you some idea if you've never actually seen a gun fired or seen anybody reload a weapon. That kind of gives you the idea of the speed that's needed there in sort of a simplified fashion. There are people who can do these things much quicker than me and who are much better than I am at them. But from a layperson's perspective, I think this kind of gives folks a good idea about what the differences are here. Why do we discuss regulating a high capacity magazine versus standard capacity? Well, it's because it makes you able to shoot the weapon a lot faster. And so, not really trying to get into the right or the wrong of that, but the reality is having a magazine with more bullets in it allows you to shoot the weapon faster. That is the truth. And so that's something that, you know, is there. So I'll be back in a moment and we'll discuss some other things. All right. And to wrap up this week's episode, we've got Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear. This book basically talks about listening to your gut, listening to that inner voice, and using your instinct to avoid danger. And and I think as far as a foundation of literature for safety, it's probably one of the best places to start. It's really one of the first books to really talk about this subject, and it's it's great for getting yourself into a mindset of personal safety and security. Basically, the idea is that you try to be aware of the situation and you try to listen to your instincts, and if something bad's going to happen, you try not to put yourself in the situation to be there when it does. Um, and that's instrumental in as a founding principle of personal safety and security, as well as personal responsibility. Is if you think something's going to be dangerous, you either need to prepare for it to mitigate the risk. For example, if you're going to be on a motorcycle, you wear a helmet, um, or you try not to put yourself in that position at all. Um, if you know that a neighborhood is dangerous, you don't go there at night. And as bad as it is to say that you shouldn't go certain places because they're dangerous, when you should have the right to move about freely without the fear of being accosted, that's not the world we live in. We live in a dangerous world with dangerous people, and the principles in this book allow you to avoid some of those situations by being more self-aware and being more aware of the situation that you're in. So it's highly recommended. Once again, that's Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear. Pick it up on Amazon. You can pick it up at the library. It's a good read. It's entertaining, and I highly recommend it. Um, and once again, thank you everybody who's been watching these. I know I ramble on a little bit. I know the video quality is not all that great, and I know my lighting sucks. But once again, I'm trying to just keep this conversation going because it is 3 weeks out, and pretty much everybody's done talking about um, this shooting in Florida. Everybody's done having the conversation. And by the end of next week, it's going to be completely off the media radar. They're going to make some minor tweaks here and there, but once again, there's going to be no major changes. Nobody's going to acknowledge the fact that we've got a major societal issue here that seems to be continuing regardless of what anybody wants. Everybody wants children to be safe. Everybody wants to be schools to be safe. Everybody wants to allow people who are honest and forthright and follow the law to be able to have all their liberties. But we have to have a conversation and figure out how we're going to deal with these people who are kind of ruining that for everybody, and go from there. And I feel like we've been dropping the ball on this over and over and over again, and so I'm going to kind of keep going with this conversation. And I know we haven't gotten to the meat and potatoes of it yet, but I feel like it's worth sort of setting up some of these examples first, giving people some experience with the weapons and the magazines and everything, before we really get into the deep dive of what can be done, and what's the root of this issue. But first, we're starting with the weapons, these murder machines, and we're gonna go from there. So hopefully, we'll have more to talk about next week. Once again, thank you so much.